approach as an individual subject or like a stand-alone topic. But there's going to be a lot of connection between what I'll be saying now and some of the things I said last week. So last week I introduced this conversation that I titled The Science of Internal Regulation. Somebody that we were in school together sent me a message that I was teaching about, that he presumed I wanted to teach people about homeostasis. And I smiled. So you think I will come on my own YouTube page to be teaching homeostasis for what? What do I want to achieve with that? You know, but apparently that was the springboard on which we started building last week. But I was able to spend some time discussing the power of resolve. That one of the things you have to master is the compelling power of your own resolve. But I wouldn't be going into the detail. The video is available on this channel. And if this is the first time you are joining us too on this platform, try to like the video, try to subscribe to the channel. And of course, if the conversation blesses you, let it reach other people. Yeah. But tonight, I want to, or today rather, I want to talk on the subject matter that I titled The Management of Defeats and of Losses. The management of defeats and of losses. And I'd like you to pay very keen attention to what I want to talk about because life is real, except that a lot of people, even though they know that life is real, they wait until something punch them in the face before they started understanding the reality of life. But life is real. It's not really ideal. We don't have an ideal world. And because you don't have an ideal world, you need to understand how to maintain your balance within the reality obtainable in this ecosystem that we're engaging in. And maybe to start with tonight, if you have ever experienced anything like failure, anything like if you have failed at something, if you have ever had a loss of something that is substantial and it pained you, I'd like you to indicate in the comment box. Now, you don't need to go into the details of what that was. You may want to do so if you are persuaded to do that. But just let me know if you have ever experienced defeat, losses, or you have failed at something before. If you have ever had any of such kind of experiences, please indicate in the comment box because tonight we really want to eat something straight in the head. I remember years back, I have shared the story. Those were just the days of old, and it's kind of relevant to what I want to talk about today, even though to me it's one of the weakest thing I can reference in my life. But I remember while I was in high school, what you call high school in Western world. Um, so I used to be the best student in class, basically. So we in Nigeria, there's something they call junior WAHEC. That is, they divide high school into two. We have the junior category, we have the senior category. So we sat for what they used to call junior WAHEC, and I approached that exam with a lot of confidence that why would I fail? Why would I fail rather that kind of exam? So, for me, there were moments I was not among the top, maybe in primary school for a while. Then at another point, I came up and all of that. But in my worst days, ever in my academic journey, I have never received an F before, F grade. So I don't really know how it feels like to have F in anything. Even in exams I didn't prepare for, in impromptu exam, I've never had it. And I'm not trying to make you see me in a special way. Please pay attention to what I'm saying. So I approached the exam, I prepared very well. I really prepared. But by the time they released the result of the exam, number one, they didn't release my English result. Now that was common in senior exams. That was unusual in primary in junior category. So by the time I had that experience, I was really pained. I was pained so much that it took a while. In fact, they had to talk to me about that situation by taking me to the principal's office because they were just wondering that how would this gentleman manage this kind of situation. To cut the long story short, that was my first, experience, experiential knowledge of failing at something visibly. And I sat down and I was like, oh my goodness, what is this? So, ideally, if you have not passed that exam, you shouldn't go to senior secondary school. But for the peculiarity of my own situation, the school didn't even discuss it twice. They moved me to senior category, why I had to take that exam the following year. So while I was in senior secondary school, class one, I had to be taking the certificate class for the junior section at the same session. Are you saying that? So I had to write promotional exam to class two of the senior category. Why I still had to receipt for the previous exam. So I was to write 12 exams in the junior category, and I was to write 14 or 16 in the SS1. Is somebody getting what I'm saying? Now, don't forget, in the senior category, I was already introduced to a different body of knowledge, the things that were not obtainable in the junior category. So I had to write in the third time 12 exam here, 16 exam or 14 here. You can do the math in your head. So that was the first time beyond counsel, beyond motivation, beyond whatever anybody can preach to me, that I have a like an understanding that not too many people can survive a blow, no matter how minute or simple it is. Not too many people. Of course, as God will have it, I sat for the exam. I cleared everything. As a matter of fact, it was amazing that in the original senior class that I was still awarded the overall best student, given prizes and all of that while I was taking that other exam. Now, it's not about the academic experience. It's about managing yourself in the midst of negative outcome. And let me say this to you. If you have never experienced something like defeat or your outcome not being realized, it might not really be that you are that exceptional. It might be that you have not really done much in life. And you really need to differentiate the two before you start overrating yourself. If all you have ever spent your life to do are the most basic things in life, chances are you may be succeeding at those things and you can be bragging anywhere that, I have never failed, nothing has even gone wrong in my hands before. But the question is, how much have you done before you can boldly declare you've never failed? How many attempts have you made? How many things have you really dared? I said all of that to say to you that if you do so much, a day is going to come that part of what you set out to achieve may not really come back the way you have expected it. And in our contemporary society, that's what they describe as failure. If you remind me at the end of this teaching, I'm going to recommend a book to you. The book was written by somebody wrote it again, but they used the parchment from the Diary of Napoleon Hill. So the original manuscript was drafted by Napoleon, but apparently somebody else repackaged the thought and made it a book. If I remember, I'm going to talk to you about it at the end of this day. I just remember now because something solid is there that I would like you, if you have time, to check out. Okay. So I was talking about you praising yourself that you have never failed. How many things have you really done? What is the weight of your contribution in the grand scheme of things before you can say boldly that you have never failed at something? And for those of you who have ever, you know, got knocked down at one point or the other, it also depends on the gravity of your experience. But let me paint some pictures for you here. Some people apparently have experienced these things, but maybe for some of you who have never seen that, imagine somebody who got married. He got married apparently with, expectation that everything was going to turn out well. I hope you know that there is nobody who, who set out to cause problem for himself in life. Statistic has shown that, I may not be very accurate. I didn't put that in my mind, but I think about 40 something percent or 50 something percent of marriages fail worldwide. That's scary, man. That is about 50%. That's like half or above it of all marriages across the nations of the earth fail. But the thing is, nobody set out to get married believing that in a matter of either weeks, months, or years to become a divorcee. There's nobody like that. If people anticipated divorce, I can tell you for free, they wouldn't go ahead to get married. I said all of that to say it means everybody experiencing negativity in whatever that is going on in their lives at some point believed that that thing was going to work. So failure is not really what anybody arranges him or herself to 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 really experience. But imagine somebody who brought all the family members. People bought tickets from abroad to come and grace the occasion. You gather all the family, maybe as the first person to get married in that family. And you know how, especially in Africa, how we take those things seriously. Marriage is serious, is good, but wedding is overrated. It's just unnecessary. It's a waste of money that we spend, quality time on, especially in that part of the world. But whatever it is, I did mine. So do yours if you can, if you have the capacity. But I'm going somewhere. Imagine after doing all of that, just in less than few weeks, the spouse alive, healthy, everything is fine, but is saying that I'm not sure I want to continue with this marriage and is opting for a divorce. So if care is not taken, if a man initiates such move, the lady can, in a long while, never believe that she is of quality for somebody else to get married to. You may not be able to come to terms with it. In fact, it gets worse. Maybe if it happens more than once, then such people appropriate their circumstance as their own identity. These are real life issues, and I'm going somewhere. I remembered those days in Nigeria. I think they still do now. If before you can gain admission to public institutions, you have to take what they used to call JAMB, matriculation examination, and all of that. At least I knew of somebody who wrote JAMB 7 times, 7 good times. I'm aware some people took that exam more than that number of times. But listen, somebody who has failed such exams first time, second time, third time, at a point, they usually were not expecting success anymore. I remember one comedian that year, he apparently was lying, but he said he sat for JAMB a lot, that and he was failing, that the year he did not register for the exam, that the exam body sent a result to him. Apparently, that was a lie, but he said they have known him so much that they just have to draft one result, even though he was not there to take the exam, and they sent it to him again that he has failed one more time. That is when people become one with their circumstance. Now, we are not here to glorify failure. We are not here to glorify defeat, but I want you to know that defeat, losses, failures, and all of that, they are part of the realities that characterize this imperfect world in which we dwell. So, having said that, How do you really deal with this reality that we are talking about here? How do you manage that? How do you manage that? I like to uh, share a perspective with you. And that perspective has a lot to do with your mental consciousness. The moment something is happening to you, please pay attention. This may be the height of my conversation, depending on who is getting it. If something is happening, let's say that thing is at this level. When you succeed at it, that is, you cross to the other side, you are now above that. When you don't succeed yet, then it's as though that thing is above you, you are below it. You see that simple illustration? It matters how you are interpreting it. To one, this height in which you have not been able to cross to the next level, you are interpreting it as the level below which you cannot fail again. That's somebody's interpretation. That at this level of my operation, I believe that the least I can ever do is this. You are raising your game. That's perception. To another person, is seeing that same point as the height he is unable to cross. They are not the same thing. Somebody is saying it, this is the least of what I can ever fail at anymore. If I will ever fail at something, it can't be this. It has to be higher than this. That is, you are seeing yourself bigger than that situation. But to another person, this is the height of accomplishment so far. So to the one who is seeing this as the height of accomplishment, is driving all his or her energy to get to this point. But to the one who had seen that point as the least of the area or level he or she can fail, is driving all his energy to transcend that limit. Perception. Perception. I'd like you to know that it matters how you are interpreting your situation. Because everything you will ever fail at, perhaps if you ever experience that, they are coming to you as feedback. You see, it's like a report card. When you sit for an exam, the exam is the exam result is handed over to you after you have taken the exam. But one thing is this: your result is suggesting to you that as at the time you sat for that exam, this is the extent of your preparedness. This is the extent of your knowledge. This is the extent of your mastery so far. Not in all cases, because you might sit for an exam and it's not properly graded and all of that. Life is not like that. So I'm not talking about academic environment, I'm talking about real life. Every outcome you get is saying something to you, a revelation of how far you have gone in terms of mastery and preparation. And what should that lead you to do? Number one, please pay attention. You've seen where you are. You've seen how much at least you could do based on the level of whatever preparation you have made to get to that point. Then the next thing you should do now is to ask yourself, what exactly do I need to do differently? Because a failed attempt, a defeat, or losses will turn you to another person. Either you like it or not, either you prepare for it or not, either you acknowledge it or not. You are definitely not going to be the same person. You either become somebody who is defeated from within, or you become somebody who is motivated to form new habits. But that you become a different person after a failed attempt or after a negative experience, that one is sure. In 2019, some of you have heard the story. My immediate other brother died. I knew that the day the gentleman was confirmed dead, I knew exactly certain things that change about me forever. I knew. The only thing is that a lot of people don't even pay attention to know what is changing about them. But I'm saying if it either losses, either failure, either defeat, just name it anyhow, you will not be the same person again. You cannot be the same person again. That's why a lot of people, they are carrying guilt. They are carrying the burden of shame because they believe that their outcome is a reflection of their personality. And it is not true. But if you accept it to be true, then it will be true. It will be true. Is somebody getting what I'm talking about? So you will definitely become a different kind of person. Since you are surely going to become a different kind of person, what manner of person ought you to be? That's the conversation. That's the conversation. When people get a big blow, when people are being punched, you know what's going to happen? They either become withdrawn or they go back to the drawing board to strategize. But can I say this to somebody? Instead of accepting the outcome of your last attempt as the overall outcome, why can't you redefine the situation by saying, I will be back? Somebody type in the comment box that no matter what life throws at me, I will be back. And I'm going to give you different examples in different sector of human endeavor and in different geography, as I do every time. As I do every time, that I will be back. Let me share the story of this. You apparently all of you, most of you will have heard the story of Abraham Lincoln. How many times he contested in this same United States, for one political office and the other, and he failed consistently, and consistently. Write this one down. An attempt you fail to make, you have lost 100% chance of ever succeeding at it. An attempt you have refused to make, any attempt you fail to make, you have lost 100% chance of ever succeeding at it. And this is what I'm saying. You sat for an exam and the exam did not come out as planned. Then on the basis of that, you refuse to try again. You know what you have done for yourself? In 3 years' time, you've not given us an updated version of yourself around that subject. So even in 3 years' time, you have given us opportunity to still see you as a failed person in that field. And this is what people don't know, that human being cannot really store information for long. So if you don't create newness, if you don't create new things, the old things we have known you with are the things we will be describing you with, because you are not giving us new things. But when you give people newness in terms of your life outcome and report, you know what you are doing to them? You are causing them to have a new assessment of your being, a new perception of your personality, and a new definition of your persona. And what that means is, after a while, I bet you, even if you are telling them about some of the experiences you have had in their very high, they will have forgotten. I remember sharing certain story with some people that we grew up together years back, and they were struggling. Say, yes, 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 yes. Now I remember. They wouldn't remember because I've repeated different things. I've done different stuff. So it's what you are doing in real time that people get to know as being fresh in their memory. So when you don't return back to attempt again what you fail at, you have therefore made what ought to be temporary permanent. You have made what ought to be what? Temporary permanent. So, where am I going to? The moment you are face to face with any obvious challenge that is trying to put a benchmark on your optimality, then go back home. Like I've said, because you are going to automatically become another man, determine who you are going to become. Don't let that situation impose a kind of identity on you. And listen, if you refuse to do anything by not, you know, cooperating to determine what kind of person you will become by a situation, I can tell you on all authority the kind of person you are going to become. You will become exactly what that situation is suggesting to you. Imagine if someone now, this is a sensitive statement and we really care for people, but please pay attention. It's the lesson. Imagine somebody who is married as a woman and she gets pregnant and loses the pregnancy. And on that basis, now decide that I'm not going to get pregnant anymore. Does that make any sense? That's not going to take away the pain of the last experience. That is not going to undo what has happened. I said all of that to say to somebody here today that that which is bringing pain to your heart and that has made you to decide that you were not going to ever try again, you will not be healed until you get a success from that same attempt, especially when that thing is actually required in your life or for your progress. It doesn't matter who is counseling you. It doesn't matter who is encouraging you. It doesn't matter who is motivating you. You will receive your highest consolation when the story changes. And if you don't face that thing headlong, that you see this thing, you are not bigger than me, then the last outcome remains your consistent testimony. Consistent testimony. Don't forget, we are talking about science of internal regulation. And all these things happen from within. From within. From within. And let me move to the third layer of my conversation this moment. You see, human brain. I'm not a psychologist, but anytime I relate to psychological documents, I said to myself, I said, what they are teaching these people in school, those are I think that's where I dwell naturally without being taught. And again, those theories are good. I'm not saying I know all the theories, but I'm saying by the time they are breaking down what they are saying, I said, this is where I live by default. It's a realm of insight. But listen, those people, in one of their studies, they were trying to describe human brain as a big folder where you store different files. As a big folder where you store different files. And in their illustration, they also describe it like a building where you have, when you open the door, you enter into certain place. When you move further, you get into other compartment. Maybe let me use building, even apartment to describe that. Those of you in Africa will understand this better. And those of you in Western world whose economy have transcended the basic survival level, you will be able to to interpret what I'm saying. Because a lot of people are just living in shared apartments all over the world, in this Western world. But of course, those of you in Africa, you know, when you build houses, there is the common area, there is the living room, there is the dining, there is the bedroom, and each of these areas, they have different specific engagement that are consistent with each compartment. Please, I'm going somewhere. In human brain, the one that is close to the surface among the files stored on your folder is described as pure emotion and nothing more. I'm shifting the conversation now, and you need to please, if you are distracted with something, you need to listen. So, at the very close to the reach of anybody in the human intelligence is the emotional compartment. But when you journey further, you get to reach to another part. Let's say in human building, let's say you are now in the living room where there are TVs connecting you to see what is going on beyond your immediate house. Then there is the bedroom where certain other things that may not be visible to the public gaze are being done. Listen, if you don't engage your brain enough in life, you will dwell at that surface level all your life and all your decisions will be wrong. Even if you are in church, fasting and praying. When you dwell at that surface, because that surface is full of emotional, maybe let me call it neural patterns. So when people fail, or when people have bad experiences, the first thing you see that they talk about usually are the things available at that surface folder, in that surface folder. Emotional statement. People curse themselves. People say things that will take several years to even remedy. People make decisions that can ruin everything because they have not learned to move beyond the surface. The idea is, if you observe very well, what has knocked certain people down without them ever rising again, the same thing, sometimes with bigger gravity, has happened to somebody else and the person bounces back. And the person bounced back. What do you think is responsible for the difference in outcome? Is because a matter is not the matter. What matters is the one that the issue is happening to. I can tell you that for free. The Bible says, if you fail in the days of adversity, then your strength is small. Then your strength is small. Then your strength is small. So what do? You must understand that your initial responses to a lot of your experiences, they are not supposed to be the final decision note. It depends on where you are dwelling anyways. Because at that surface level, most of the responses will be emotionally triggered. And that's why homes are breaking every day. They can't see beyond the surface. That's why people are giving up every day, because they can't see beyond the surface. That's why people, I read a story. Oh my God, I wish I could remember how it was described, but it was the story of a gentleman, real life situation, who who had a gold mine, and he was mining they were mining the gold to a level, and after a while they were not seeing anything. So they dug more, and they realized that there was really nothing much here. They were not getting any gold. And you know what he did? He sold that land at the cost of normal land, not a land that is housing any major raw material or resources. Guess what happened? The one who bought it over from him dug, I think, 9 inches further and was able to eat, oh my God, abundant supply, more than all they have ever been able to mine from that place. This is a popular something you can Google and check out, except that I just can't remember the people again. So somebody published almost a whole book on that experience, and in the maybe early 90s or 80s. Are you seeing that? Why do you think that man stopped? He did the surface. He dug the surface rather, and he got to a point and he felt, what's the point going further? And he left. That's what happens every time you give up untimely. I know voices of authority have been vocal in the recent days that people should learn how to give up. I respect those ideas. But before you give up over anything, the question is, why did you start in the first place? Why did you start in the first place? Because if you really started on a right note and you are engaging on a noble cause, giving up is not part of your engagement anymore. Have you not read your Bible? That he that put his hand on the plow and look back is not fit. And I'm not saying you shouldn't give up on some things, like they say it. Oh, yeah. If you don't give up on what God is not, with you on, eventually you die. At least by the time you leave this world, you eventually give up. But I'm saying you must be so tough that simple things can't just scare you off almost immediately. Do you know why? A lot of things that work out fine in human history, a lot of them never work out well in their first attempt. And if you are contesting that statement in your head, you don't know history. You have read the wrong materials. A lot of what we are engaging today. No, some of you have read the story of Edison. How many times did it take him? Some of you have read the story of electricity. You have read the story of the Wright brothers about aeroplane, basically. Let me recommend a documentary for you. The Men That Built America. Just go check what happened. If you have the perspective, I know they might have doctored some of those things, no doubt. But when you see exactly what went into the, foundation of this country, you will not be surprised why they are where they are today. But including Morgan, including Edison, including John D. Rockefeller, go and check how many times some of these people failed. And guess what? It's people that were saying that they failed. They never counted those things as failure. They counted them as steps. As steps. When this gentleman finally got to the whole discovery or whatever of electricity, not electricity, incandescent light. And they said it took you 900 and something times, or 99, either 99 or 990 times to make this thing work, that you failed 99 times. And he said, no, I didn't fail 99 times. It took me 99 processes to get this thing. You see what I'm talking about? Perception. 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 So I asked a question. Why did you attempt that thing you attempted? If that thing is strong enough, why do you want to back down now? Why did you apply for that professional exam? If that's your why is strong, then how come that the fact that you didn't pass in the last attempt, you don't want to try again? Can't you see that it's actually a surface experience that is making you to make that kind of decision? And I want to take you beyond surface lifestyle, that you can reach deeper, where you can begin to draw out treasure from the hidden places that are locked up inside of you. I'm not even talking about external assistance yet. I'm talking about the wealth locked up inside of you that a lot of people will never touch, no matter how old they grow to be, because they were never taught to reach onto that aspect of their lives. Why did you really begin? Why did you begin? Don't forget, I've spoken about points below which some believe they cannot really fail below that level, and some believe they can't succeed beyond that level. And the two of them become two different kind of people. I spoke about that. I spoke about that you don't make permanent what ought to be temporary, right? Now, and I told you that whenever you experience negative experience, you will become another person. Your own duty now is to make sure you are conscious of the kind of person you are becoming. How do you now contribute to the kind of person you are becoming? It's very simple. You have to create new habits. If you have analyzed your situation and it has not led you to know what you need to do differently, your analysis were wrong. Your analysis were wrong. Your analysis, they were incorrect. The things you subject to test were wrong factors. It means your analysis was incorrect. So you have to go back. What exactly do I need to do differently? Because your life is going to take a definite shape that is consistent with your habits. Listen very carefully. If you have seen successful people a lot, even when they have not met, you will always see a trace of similarity, first in perspective, two in habit. Perspective and habit. Because a lot of people, they don't know what they need to work on, such that it's just like when you are doing, I'm a chemist, when you are doing reactions, everything can be going well until you introduce just one more reactant. that has been lacking. Suddenly, what you are looking for begin to crystallize out. The idea is you might be so intelligent, you might be skillful, you might be, captivating even in your delivery. But the question is, are you actually efficient with time? And I'm not doing time management here, but let me tell you what I mean by, are you really efficient with time? While we're in school, you know, the people, these friends of mine that I'm talking about, two of them will be graduating in December in the United States, and each of them is finishing PhD in America. All right. While we're in school, I noticed one of them, and all of them, they had a group. I don't know if any of them is even online tonight. They had a group, they used to study together and all of that. So I noticed that the one who was leading that group got something right very early. And what was that thing? They knew how to do hard things first so that they will have time for pleasure. So those guys, they will gather, study past questions, study their lecture note. After that, they can play game. Listen, don't forget, they have done the studies. They can now play. Some people will not join them in the study, but they will join them in the play. When they now get to the exam hall, those ones who have done the study will always pass. The other people will be, they will always be trusting God for what God will not do. Because God does not go against his principle. And they mastered that lifestyle. We left school in 2015, 10 years ago. Then today, at least in that group, I know about four of them doing PhD. Two will be graduating this December. Part of the habit you need to master is ability to do hard things first. And can I say this to you? Based on what I was explaining before, your natural self will not like to do the tough things first because the easiest place you reach in your cognitive compartment is the emotional seat. Emotional seat. So when you have five to-do list, naturally, the one that you would like to do is the one that will give you pleasure. That's why you don't need motivation to see movies. Have you noticed that? Oh, thank you, Gabriel. I think Gabriel has come across what I was trying to talk about. Yes, Think and Grow Rich. The Goldman is just 3 feet away. Exactly. Thank you, my man. I know these are readers here. Imagine somebody sold a land that's, oh my God, just because he couldn't take it further, not knowing that just 3 feet away, the real thing they were looking for was down below. So, habit, the way you are approaching life on emergency mode, go and check the history of the kind of people, the people whose kind you want to become. Nobody among them lived the way you are living now. And if you don't change your posture, it's never going to happen. You will be daydreaming all your life. So you see people, they have exams, but they won't sit to read. They won't sit to study. They will first see movies. They will go to watch football. They will come to argue. They will eat food. All of that. When the exam is now 4 hours before it, they will now start reading. Bad habits. And you know what is leading to that bad habit? They are operating at the surface level of their brain. So, as I'm wrapping up tonight, can I say this to somebody? If you don't take yourself beyond what is convenient consistently for a long time, there is a version of yourself you will never get to meet. Some of you think you are lazy. You are not. You have lazy habits. And actually, it can be permanent, anyways, if you don't do anything about it. But when you begin to train your mind, that, see, it's like you are talking to somebody. We are not seeing movie first. We will see this movie. Now, you mean, see, me as a person, I as an individual, I reward myself with some things people do casually. If I accomplish a lot of stuff that I set out to do on a weekend, I can put my phone on flight mode and I'll be praying. You may think that I'm praying. And you know what I'll be doing? I can go and see something. I can decide to drive to the cinema to go and see a movie. I can decide to put on my laptop and be seeing something. But I won't wake up in the morning and be doing that. And again, somebody can do that. Those who are in movie industry, if they are doing that, they can be learning something to work on, all of that. That's their own area. That's not my area. Are you getting what I'm talking about? So you have to consciously identify the habits you need to change so that your outcome can start changing. The habits you need to change so that your outcome can start changing. And second to the last point I will be bringing up tonight is what I describe as change your game plan. You know, I've lived almost all my life relating with religious folks. And among many other reasons, why most people who are religious will never succeed is because they believe planning is ungodly. Unfortunately, so. I don't know why, but some people just think if you sit down to intelligently plan something, you are insulting God. I don't know. I don't know who taught them those things, but I've seen it. I've seen it. And it's because you will know these people are not studying the Bible. They are just doing religious practices. Jesus was speaking and he told the people, he was speaking like giving them a proverb. And he said, if you see a man that want to build a tower, he had to first sit down and count the cost to be sure if what is going to invest into that project will be sufficient to complete it. He said, lest he started it and is unable to finish it, and people will start laughing at him. I'm using contemporary language. That was Jesus speaking. This is the idea. Don't exalt your planning above the wisdom of God. So, do everything spiritually to know where God stands over that thing you want to do. So, if the vision is backed up by God, engage your intelligence 1000%. That's what I'm saying. That I didn't make a mistake. I mean, intelligence. Intelligently break down what God has told you. Because God vision in your hands that you are not intelligently executing will fail. Say that again. Your God-given vision that is not intelligently architectured will surely fail. Oh, yes. So, when something happens after you have become another man, let that new man reflect in your new plan. Because the fact that you have failed once, I'm sorry to tell you, it means you can fail multiple times again. And for you not to fail multiple times, that's why I'm saying what I'm saying. You realize that those who have failed once, it's easy for them to it's like replenishing the earth and subduing it. When you do something once, if you don't get what to change on time, it becomes normal. That's why, apologies again, when you lose one marriage, you tend to lose multiple if you are not careful. If you are not careful, when you fail one exam the first time, if you don't know what we are talking about tonight, you tend to fail it multiple times. Because you becoming a new man must reflect with new plan. These are the things that led to this. How do I master it so that I won't repeat the same problem that gave me that outcome? And let me now speak finally to losses. Losses. Because when it is lost, especially, let's say, losses that seem to be irredeemable, if they're even praying the prayer of restoration in that area for you, inside of you, you know that, okay, for instance, if you pray the prayer of restoration to somebody whose grown-up child has died, tell me what that restoration is. If you can't raise that child to life, back to life. Are you getting what I'm saying? If it is more, any material things can be restored in multiples. So it means that same person will now have to go through natural process to give birth to a new child, nurture it. The child can now be bigger and bring consolation, all of that. But listen, you won't take advantage of your pain when you don't interpret it well. Because anything, like I said the other time, in terms of failure, anything you have ever lost once, it won't be only once. That theft will be attempted in your space. Now, this is spiritual now, so and I don't do analysis around this. Only if you understand it, you do. That's fine. This is what I'm saying. Don't forget, Act of Apostle. Error stretched forth his hand, and he killed James. He saw that it pleased the Jew. What did he do next? He went further to pick Peter, and he was going to kill him. Even I'm talking about spiritual intelligence there. Whatever succeed in your space is a signal that this is an area we can keep raping this person. So you need to interpret that situation well. Even when you feel this same thing, I can't get it exactly the way it is, you have more than that thing to keep. And the intelligence you are getting from that loss is going to give you understanding of preservation of what's left. Because in the moment of failure, surface intelligence will make you see what you have lost as too big compared to what you have left. And that is how blind we can be often as human beings. You see somebody who has 6 children, God forbid something happens to one, and it's as though, God, you have finished everything now. What have you not done? He's ignorant that there are 5 grown-up people left. So what do you need to learn from these, that the remaining 5 can become super compared to the one that is gone? So these are things that when people live in the same environment, they are still living in different realms. That's why I describe it as the science of internal regulation. A lot of people believe when they go to UK, they will become rich, and they come to America, they will become rich. Now, they are 10 years in the UK, 10 years in America, they are now living in debt. It shocked them. It was not supposed to be a shock to them. Before they left their country, they should have asked that, is it everybody living in America that is rich? Apparently not. So it means there is something that brings wealth, even in the territory where there are not so much poverty. And you don't know that thing, you are grounded. Your expectations notwithstanding. Your expectations notwithstanding. Is somebody getting what I'm talking about tonight? So, whatever you have lost, and this is my submission to you tonight, whatever you have failed at, whatever defeat you have ever experienced, you have much more still remaining that can neutralize the effect if only you understand this conversation and engage it. Just one election outcome turned Abraham Lincoln to global icon. If he had stopped before that last election, it would be an example of failure forever. It's that simple. Those of you in Nigeria, you know the governor of Oyo State, Engineer Seyi Makinde. The gentleman contested for Senate twice and failed and lost the election. Contested as governor, lost the election. Then the fourth time he contested. Now he's doing second time as governor in Oyo State. So it is your choice to either leave us with the relics of your last outcome as your permanent result, or you will redefine it that this is temporary and I'm going to come back again. I will be back. That's where I'm going to stop tonight or this afternoon from my side. And I'm going to take the next 5 minutes to answer questions if there are any, or if there is any rather. If you have any question, just indicate in the comment box that you have a question so that I will know that I'm waiting for it. So once again, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. Every evening, currently now time has changed, so 8:30 p.m. West African time, that will be 1:30 p.m. Central Time in the United States. I come live where I will teach people, how to transform ordinary men to agents of change. And if you have become a change agent already, this is a community you want to be present so that you can be optimized and you can also support what we are doing. So basically, that is that. Thank you, everyone. Again, at any point you are seeing this broadcast, like the video, let us get your feedback. Whatever stood out for you, you can indicate in the comment box when you are doing a replay. And of course, if you have further clarification or what you don't even agree to, put it there. We'll put perspective to it later. All right. So that is that. Let me recognize the people I'm seeing online. Mary Ibimodi, it's been a long while. God bless you greatly. Winnie from the USA, good to have you on board tonight. I learned a lot. Eating rock bottom is really not the end. It is just a stepping stone. Perfect, perfect. I love that. What you just said now is like a punchline. I love that. Let me read it for those who didn't hear that. She said, um, eating rock bottom is not really the end. It is just a stepping stone. Yeah. So when you are not a surface person, you touch it and you bounce by it. But somebody else will get there and break the leg and die. That is it. What has not killed you should make you stronger. That is if only you understand how to harness strength from weakness. And that is how God leads people, anyways. God always causes light to shine out of darkness. But we as human beings, we only want light to come out of light. So we miss God. All right. So, in the absence of any question, I'd like to call it a day. Once again, thank you for being present tonight. God bless you and prosper your way. It will cause you not to be defeated in the areas that matter. And for those of you who have experienced defeat or currently undergoing the pain of losses, may the Lord Himself restore your joy and comfort you. In 2019, the word God gave to me is that I'm going to comfort you roundabout and increase your greatness. That was not preached to me because I was in distress. So I had to go. I traveled somewhere. I have to go wait on the Lord for 7 days. I was in deep distress, and that was the word He gave to me. He said, "I'm going to comfort you roundabout, and I'm going to increase your greatness." That was 2019. This is 2025, 6 years ago or more. By January, it's going to be 7 years. So, and I pray the same for anybody going through anything. The Lord will comfort you on every side and it's going to increase your greatness. All right. Have a great week, everyone. Bye for now. See you next time. Thank you.